Hello guys, and welcome to our mental wealth conversation that comes to you every week with Derek Were
and Lillian Simiu.
And today we are here to discuss more about mental wealth. As we said, mental health is a show for you that we are here to discuss about your mental state, your mental wellness, to find a way for you to overcome and to, take full charge of your mental wellness.
Today's topic is a build-up from what we talked about last time. Last time we talked about boundaries.
Yeah.
And the reason why people, for example, don't have boundaries, it's because they like to please people. So our topic today is people pleasing, and we want to understand, what is people pleasing in the first place? Is it good? Is it bad? How do you know if you're a people pleaser? And why do you people please in the first place? And maybe then later on we can mention how to manage people pleasing if you're a people pleaser. Yes, so that's what we're talking about, Derek.
Yeah, sure. I think this is one topic closest to my heart. When I say closer, this one is closest to my heart.
Are you a people pleaser?
Yes, I am working on myself in trying to manage my people pleasing habit. Of course, on this podcast today we're going to discuss why we people please, how we can manage people pleasing, in an attempt to stop people pleasing, and how we find ourselves in such scenarios. So it's one topic I love, because somebody will say, yes, it is once in a while important to please people. It is not a bad thing. However, for our conversation, we're just saying you cannot please people at the expense of yourself. That is the most key thing that we want to discuss today. And maybe we will start by telling our audience, what is, first of all, people pleasing? I don't know if you can tell us, Lillian, what is people pleasing?
People pleasing basically means putting other people's needs above your needs. So in as much as it's not entirely a bad thing, because we are people, we are not islands. We have relationships, and sometimes for relationships to work, it requires compromise. And there's that, but there's also just outrightly putting other people's needs above yours, which is toxic and affects you as an individual. So once in a while, yes, you can compromise for people. I think all of us people please at some point, because some things we just have to agree that you do it for people. You do it for your partner, you do it for your parents, you do it for your friends. But when it becomes a lifestyle of you always coming second or third and the other people always coming first, then there is a problem. So to me, that's what people pleasing looks like.
Yeah, I agree. And I think other people I've listened to and I've watched, they tend to call people pleasers as nice people. And I think we were having this conversation with you earlier, and we were saying the word nice is, I don't know which word you used, but
I said nice to me translates to just someone or something that can be used easily.
Something that can be used. I agree. So people pleasing is basically trying to make people happy, and you're doing literally making people happy at the expense of your own happiness. You're trying to say yes to others, but you're saying no to yourself. That yes, I can give Lillian money, but no, I don't need that money. So these are some of the things that we're going to discuss today. We're just trying to break the ice on what people pleasing is, and maybe we can get into people pleasing itself. And I don't know where I start with the origin of people pleasing. How will I, some people are there asking, how then? I don't know if I'm a people pleaser. Sometimes people start to realize they're people pleasers after listening to probably a podcast like ours, or watching videos on YouTube, and the likes. So what does it look like? What is the origin of people pleasing?
I also think, honestly, to say, I think people who are people pleasers know they are people pleasers. Deep down in their heart, they know, because it takes away so much from you. So definitely you have to realize that you're a people pleaser. And I think the problem is maybe they do not know what to do, but it will be also important for us to just mention what it looks like, so that maybe you might not know some of these things, but now you can be able to have clarity as to why or how you're behaving, and know that these are some of the things that it looks like. Maybe for some people it's, I feel like it has stages.
Yeah.
Some people always please people every day, but some
Yeah.
people do it in moderation. Some people don't do it at all. So when you give, or for example, when you talk about these things, you can be able to help people to understand that this is, maybe I'm a people pleaser to this degree. So I think, Derek, you can take us through some of the things. What people pleasing look like? What do I do? If I'm a people pleaser, what are some of the things that I do that will show that I am always going out of my way to...
People pleasers, yeah. I think, as I said earlier, this is the closest one to me, because for a very long time, I've been a people pleaser. And of course, I'm in that journey to try and stop being the nice guy, to people. There's a big difference between being nice and being kind. At times we don't understand.
What's the difference?
Being nice is, adapting to any environment. If people want to go left, you go left. In as much as maybe you need to go right, you will go with them left. Being nice is you want to be fully present. You want to make everybody left, right, and center to be happy. And you'll never on earth make people happy. Even Christ, for those who go to church, tried his best, but he was still killed. So you will never. So when we talk about people pleasing, one of the things we need to understand is, when you're a people pleaser, and it has happened to me quite a number of times, you are afraid of being rejected. And in most cases, they say people pleasers have a low self-esteem in most occurrences, because they cannot really stand on their own. So when you're a people pleaser, you are really afraid of being rejected. And because you are afraid of being rejected, you fear confrontations, you fear giving a contrary opinion in anything that you have been asked. So you end up, by fearing to be rejected, you end up saying yes. You're always preoccupied about what others think and feel. Preoccupied. For lack of a better word, I can also use the word, you think on behalf of others. For example, we might be here, and I know I don't feel comfortable to be here. I need to go home. But I'll think on behalf of Lillian and say, if I go home, Lillian is going to feel bad. She's going to be angry at me. So because you are preoccupied thinking about, on behalf of others, which is, crazy, you end up making decisions to favor other people. Sometimes even the people you're favoring are not interested with your favor. Sometimes, not all times. Though I know there are people who enjoy people pleasers. The other thing is the fear of saying no. It's a big issue, the fear of just saying no. And I was having this conversation with my friend. In many occasions as a person, I am busy with my stuff, be it work related, but I get a phone call from my friend. He's called Alex, and he needs a favor from me. And I know I am literally busy. But because I'm used to, saying yes, I feel like, why should I even say no? I'll be like, Alex, there's no pressure. I'll just come, Na unajua kabisa whatever you're doing is so critical to you, but because you are afraid of saying no, you end up postponing your work so that you can attend to what Alex wants. The next thing you're done with Alex's project, you get another phone call from Muka. Hey, how are you? Where are you? Can you, get some things from me in town? And I'm like, it's okay. Muka is so close to me, and she's one person we share so much. And I'm like, you don't really need to worry. I'll pick it up for you. You don't have limits. By you having a challenge saying no, you have no limits. You don't have boundaries. Something we discuss here quite extensively. You don't have boundaries. People can come into your life. They can walk out of your life, and you'll always feel comfortable. You don't like quarrels. Again, the other things is, you're always hungry for approval of others. You just want people to approve of what you're doing. You start a project. If your friends approve of it, you'll go for it. If they disapprove of it, you'll stop doing it. Because again, you survive. Your happiness is directly decided or determined by people around you. You don't have the power of your own will. The other thing is, you always feel overworked because of so much things you're doing for other people. You are overworked, or let me say you are overstimulated. You do one thing here, you do the other thing here, you do the other thing, the third. And all these things are for people you want to, quote unquote, make them happy. The other thing that we don't. And then one thing that is very common, especially with people pleasers, is they always feel guilty of doing things for their friends. Whenever they, like, like personally, I'll feel like I didn't need to do it, but I cannot tell them directly. I feel so bad. I feel drained, but I don't want to confront them and tell them, by the way, you are really draining me. I don't want, because I just, from the words, from the beginning, you fear rejection. You don't want to look like you don't like what they're doing. Even if you don't like it, you always, move with the bad wagon. You are always exhausted. You're overbooked. You get burnt out trying to take care of others. It even becomes a difficult thing for you to concentrate in one thing, because you're overbooked, you're overstimulated, and you struggle a lot to be present in the things you do for others, and even things that you do for yourselves. So most of the time, these are things we find ourselves in, and I know you're going to help us understand the genesis of people pleasing. Somebody will be like, I think some of the things you have mentioned, I've been in it quite a number of times, and I don't know how I found myself in. But again, this is something we're going to discuss. So I think I'll allow you maybe to highlight how will Derek one day, like, I think for me, I had to go back to try and understand how on that day start pleasing people. How comes that I am like a chameleon? If I go where there's green color, I turn to green. If I go where there's blue color, I turn to blue color, which is something you'll never have freedom of yourself. You'll never be happy for yourself until you learn how to be independent. That is when you realize how great you are, how amazing you are. So I'll allow you, Lillian, maybe to tell us more about the origin of people pleasing.
Yeah, as you've mentioned, people pleasing is really just slavery, for lack of a better word. And you just don't wake up and become a people pleaser. It comes from someone. Some of the things that you have mentioned here, like fear of rejection, unable to set any kind of boundaries, is a sign that there's a void.
Yeah.
There's a void in this person who is pleasing people. And most of the time it goes back to, for example, how you were brought up. And you see, if you were brought up in a very unhealthy environment, that you weren't validated, your self-esteem wasn't built, it now makes you want to seek this kind of validation from other people. So essentially, you don't feel worthy yourself. Your self-esteem is low, so you don't feel worthy of love, attention, or anything like that. So you kind of feel like you have to earn it. And for you to earn it, you have to please people. You have to do them favors. You have to go out of your way, because you are surviving on them being happy with you. And when they're happy with you, then you can feel like you're loved. You can feel important. You can feel like you can feel like now you're a good person, you're a great person, because you're earning. So basically, you don't believe that you can just be loved for who you are. You have to earn. You have to earn, and you're earning it by working, by doing favors, by going out of your way to make sure you don't upset anyone, because you feel like if you upset them, they will, for example, hate you, and you will lose them. Because you see, one of the things that you have mentioned is that people who are people pleasers, they have the fear of rejection. Like, they can't afford to lose people, because they're getting this validation from people. So it comes from a place of insecurity.
Yeah.
A lot of it. And as we are talking about it, it's important for somebody who's, for example, thinking, I am a people pleaser, and then they have to understand, where is it coming from? It comes from definitely insecurities, and some of these insecurities go way back to how we have been brought up and the kind of deficiencies we were exposed to as children. Maybe our caregivers didn't tell us, didn't validate us, didn't affirm us. So we grew up wanting to get this affirmation or validation from outside. And that's why we will always go out of our way to try and keep everyone happy, because we assume in our heads that if we keep everyone happy, then everyone will be happy with us. But there's nothing like that. You can't keep everyone happy. And it's a huge burden. So basically, Derek, people pleasing comes from a place of insecurities. So if you're a people pleaser, you have to ask yourself, what are these insecurities that are making me always want to put others above me? Be it your self-esteem, be it maybe you believe you're not smart enough, maybe you're not pretty enough, maybe you just not generally don't feel worthy of love, attention, and all those things. So these insecurities are what makes us want to almost cover up by pleasing other people so that maybe they can't see what our deficiencies are. But yes, so these insecurities are what makes us want to get validation from other people,
Wow.
be it our friends, our parents, sometimes even our parents, our relatives, our teachers, or just people that we are surrounded by.
Interesting. Let me just ask you a few questions. I think I've been having so many questions relating to, I don't know, it's directly people pleasing, but I have some friends and we discuss a lot about mental conversation. There's a lady who told me she moved out of their house, but she feels empty after moving out of their house because she has always wanted and she has always been present for her mother. And she feels, though she moved out, she probably moved out because she was not happy in that house. Things are not really happening the right way. But again, even after moving out, she is still not happy moving out. She still feels like, to some extent, she has betrayed the mother. She feels guilty because most of the time, which I think we can discuss here on people pleasing, when children have been reduced to miniature adults, or they are now caregivers instead of the parents being caregivers. They are now the people who are responsible to feel the emotional need of their parents instead of their parents feeling the emotional need. How do we overcome that? And then is it also one of the origins of someone becoming a people pleaser by being reduced to a caregiver as a child, or that is a different thing altogether?
As I mentioned, it really comes from the basic unit of the society, which they say is family, and how the interactions have been in that family. And you see situations like this when you start to become a caregiver as a child, it takes away from you. You become a giver, and sometimes, when it comes to, it's very difficult if your parent asks you to do something or they look like they need your help and you don't give it to them. Even if you're not a people pleaser, you'll feel bad about it. So imagine as a child being exposed to a situation where you have to almost look like you have to mature really fast and be an adult and take care of, quote unquote, take care of your parent. So those situations are some of the things that expose you, because you're a child and you're already in a point where you're looking like an adult. Of course, even as you go out there, you'll attract people who are needy, who want to be saved, because that's what is familiar to you.
So you will be always familiar with what was taught or what you grew up in. If you were taught to be emotionally present for others, the people you'll attract in your life in people who are emotionally needy.
Yeah, because you see, Derek, if you grew up in a situation, if you were exposed to, let's say, a very healthy situation, and you were taught to create healthy boundaries and healthy relationships and things like that, even as you go out there, not necessarily even in relationships, even in school, you'll be able to create those boundaries with your friends. But if you come from a situation where you were just treated like, a doormat, anything went, no one even apologized to you when they wronged you, no one affirmed you, and all those things, when you go out there, you don't have any filter. Anything that comes, you just take it.
And you're okay. I know people pleasers, we are very okay. It's okay, ulinitukana lakini ni sawa.
But you see, the thing is, Derek, I don't think they are okay, because I've interacted with a lot of people who are people pleasers. They are not okay. This thing bites them in, and you will know. And I say it's very counterproductive to look like you're pleasing people, because you end up even hurting them more, because people pleasers are most of them are very angry people inside, and bitter people, and you will experience a lot of passive aggression with them because they can never express clearly and communicate to you that they are not happy, but they will show it with their actions. Sometimes they will snap. So they are not happy, they are not okay with it. It's just that they cannot say it. They cannot create the boundary. But you will see a lot of passive aggressive behavior with them because they can't communicate, but they are not happy with it. They are bitter. And when you just monitor their operation, you will realize that these are not happy people. They are not okay with it. It's just that they're not able to communicate to people.
Let me dig deeper into, we are talking about people pleasing. Let us talk about relationships, specifically dating. That is what is closer home for me and for many other young people who are out there. And at times you find yourself, especially in, I don't want to say especially in men or women. I don't want to look like I'm taking a particular direction. Unapata, you keep on pleasing your partner. Akiwa na shida, you want to be fully present. I'm not saying it is bad, but sometimes you have that from within. You feel it is your obligation, it is your duty, full responsibility. If Lillian is my girlfriend, you're not my girlfriend, let me just be honest. We are just doing a podcast together. In the event I'm dating Lillian, and then you call me and then you tell me you are emotionally weak, you need 1, 2, 3, and then I feel it is fully my responsibility to feed that need. Is that not people pleasing, or is it a people pleasing way that we don't know and we keep on doing, and then when we break up we start saying, oh, I kept doing this for her and she never saw it? Is it a form of people pleasing?
It is. As we started, I said people pleasing is just basically, if you notice yourself putting your other people's needs above yours, that is people pleasing. So, and also I think even as we discuss about relationships, we have to understand that you cannot save anyone.
Yeah, you cannot save anyone.
You cannot save anyone from whatever they're going through. And I think we are a generation that has lots and lots of baggage. And each one of us has a responsibility to do our trauma work.
Yeah.
Because no one is going to do it for you. So when you come and when you're in a relationships and you feel like you almost have to deal with to fill the emotional void that, as you explained, of someone else, you can support them. You can support them through the process, but you cannot.
It is not your duty to make them feel good.
Yes, because at the end of the day, whatever it is that is happening with them, trust me, you can't solve the problem for them. When it comes to psychological issues, you have to be the one who takes the lead. You as an individual.
Somebody is like, what are you guys talking about? This is my boyfriend, this is my girlfriend. Then you're telling me it is not my entire responsibility to them to make them feel good.
Leave alone even being your entire responsibility. You cannot do it. It is almost impossible to try and solve someone. When it comes to psychological issues, whoever that is going through the issue has to take the center stage. That's why we're told, even when you're going for therapy, you have to be willing. Wewe ndo inafaa ukuwe unataka ndio uende, because you can't be forced into it. It has to be something that you have to see the problem for yourself. And you see, sometimes we are in relationships with people, we see their problems, sometimes we see it accurately, sometimes we don't, but we almost expect that we can save them, we can change them, quote unquote. But it's not possible. So if this person is having emotional issues, maybe they are traumatized, maybe they are going through a hard situation, maybe they are depressed, you can support them. You can offer support. You can listen to them. You can try to assist them look for help. You can keep them company, but you can never solve their problem unless they are doing something about it. So you can only support them if they are doing something.
And if they are willing to be supported.
If they let you in to support them.
Wow. Yeah. Let me ask this question. I'm asking it on behalf of many men out there. Dem amekutext anakwambia nitumie 1,000. Kwa mfuko yako you have 200 bob. Hiyo 200 bob inafaa kukusustain for a month. Kukula. Hii ni kitu it's common. Me, I'm speaking on behalf of men and I'm speaking on behalf of myself. And because you want to be a good husband, you want to be...
So you're when husband, I'm a boyfriend?
Let me say boyfriend.
Okay.
Hata sifa kusema husband, boyfriend. Mimi napigia Alex, my good friend. I call Boaz my good friend. Niaze, I am in urgent need of 1,000. Nisaidie tu nikipata hiyo donda kurudishia. Am I a people pleaser? Am I being dumb?
I wouldn't say you're being dumb, but you're being unfair to yourself. You're being unfair to yourself because what you're doing is not even sustainable. What if I am your girlfriend and the day after tomorrow after unitumie nikwambie nimeona wig fulani ya 100k, what would you do? Would you do the same thing?
I will be worried I don't have 100k. Sometimes if I'm a people pleaser, of course, people pleasers are always anxious not to provide for their circle. So I'll even get depressed. I'll be fully stressed. I know, like me, that's something that has happened before. If anytime Muka will tell me she's stressed, I will be stressed because my emotions were purely defined by her emotions.
Her happiness is your happiness.
Is my happiness. Actually, that is a very wrong statement. Trust me, the time we say your happiness is my happiness, ati I will die for you. Those are I think nowadays I think of such statements, ati I can die for you. Those are toxic sentiments. Because if you're willing to die for somebody, you're willing to sacrifice your own self because of somebody who is going to be alive and is going to get another boyfriend or another girlfriend in that life, and you want to die. There is nothing past earth. You're going to suffer down there. So you kill yourself because you want to please Madam X or Mr. Y. So anyway.
So for men, and I see, it's not okay for you to go out of your way. Kama una hiyo pesa hauna.
Na hata kama uko nayo unajisikia kumpatia
usimpe. Na kama uko nayo na si umebudgetia pia,
don't give it out.
Yeah, and I think the question is why you in that position?
Yeah.
Before this, we were speaking about where people pleasing is coming from. You have to understand, and you have to understand that, for example, maybe you have your own insecurities, and that's what you need to work on even before you expose yourself into relationships. Because people out here, human beings are selfish, and if you give them an opportunity, they will use you, and they will use you to the maximum. They will stretch you thin. So you have to understand that if you have insecurities, you have to work on them first before you even decide that you want to be in a relationship. Because this other person is not coming to... Some people some people are good in these relationships. They will understand you. But as long as you're not doing the work yourself, itakuwa ngumu. It will be hard for you to exist in a healthy kind of a relationship.
Wow.
So kama uko na hiyo 2000 ama ni 200 usifulize. Don't fuliza.
My first time nilifuliza ilikuwa juu ya dem. Let me be honest. I know there are so many people out there. The first time
sijawahi fuliziwa. Kwa?
No, sometimes men don't say nimekufulizia.
We
don't. Trust you me. Nikikufulizia sitakwambia. In fact, I'll text you alafu hata usiponiambia thanks takwambia no pressure. It's okay. Don't worry. But deep down, ile uchungu niko nayo, sometimes ukisikia mwanaume anakwambia hata ungesema ulipata, because the struggle they went to get that money, be it a man, be it a woman, let me not say men. Aujui ile struggle mtu amego kupata hiyo pesa. Sometimes unapata inabidi hata unakopa pesa kwa beshte yako mwenye mliko sana, because you want her to feel like you are present, you know, because you have always felt like it is your obligation to be present. It is your obligation to make them happy or to provide anything for them, you know. So it's a big issue. So I know I've also, as a person, I'm still listening to good conversations on how you are a people pleaser, and I know the next question is, to those who are listening to us, is, can I stop? Is it something that I can stop immediately, people pleasing people? How do I even start saying no? I remember there was a time I was listening to a podcast on people pleasing, and then I got a call that I was supposed to say no, and I said yes, and I felt so bad for saying yes, but I had to do it, you know. So I know it's a big challenge. Now, how is the process like for somebody who has been a people pleaser all through his life or her life, having the courage now to start creating limits and knowing when to make herself a priority before others?
Well, even before we get to that, I want to just add something to what you were saying about just doing stuff for people. Kama, for example, kufulizia mtu. And you see the problem with people pleasing, you're doing it so that you can look good, so that they can like you, so that they can validate you. And validating would look like, thank you, you're the savior of my life. So those are the kind of statements that you're living for. And sometimes they might not come. And that's why it's very important to understand that people pleasing is just a total waste of time. You should not do it. And if you're doing it, you should strive to stop doing it. Do things for people just because you want to. and just because, for example, you love them or you want to do them. If you really want to do them, but don't do them so that they can say thank you, so that they can see you are the savior of their lives, because sometimes they won't see that. And even though they see that, they will acknowledge it, but then they will use you because they know, huyu nikimcall atakuwa toa, atanipea pesa. You know.
Atakupigia ni aje, unaweza nifanyia ABCD, you know. It's okay, nilikuwa nafanya kazi lakini it was not that important. I can
anything for you.
It's a big issue. So I hope guys are listening and are learning.
So if you decide to do something, people do it because you want to. If you want to do it, whether they say thank you or not, it's not really an issue. But you see, if you're doing it to please them and they don't look pleased at the end of the day, you see, it's a problem again for you. So let's do stuff for people because we want to, not because we want to please them or we want them to say thank you, want them to rate us. It's a waste of time. It's a total waste of time, emotion, energy, space. So how do you stop to be a people pleaser? And it's not an on and off button. And that's why maybe you, that day, after listening to that podcast, you're inspired and you're like, I should say no. But it's not that easy because, one, you did not become a people pleaser overnight. It's something that has said for long, what's the word?
It has been part of you unconsciously. Or
yeah, it's in your subconscious. It's something that it was created, it started from somewhere, and it's taken a while for it to manifest. So you can't just wake up and be like, no, I'm at the way somebody was saying, just tell people to F off. No, it's not that easy. Kwa sababu, you can't. It's just, you can't. But what you need to do is, one, you need to understand where it's coming from. Why are you people pleasing? What are you hoping to achieve by pleasing these people that you want to please? Then number two, how does it make you feel? Because you're not happy. If you're a people pleaser, you're not happy.
Actually, you become happy when they comment after you doing something for them.
But you see, it's a very complex situation to be in, Derek. I don't think they are. Because at the end of the day, you feel used. You know. So it's very hard for you to feel happy at the same time knowing that literally, hata kama wamesema asante, this person is just using me.
So it's more of a fake love.
So it's very hard for you to be a happy person if you're a people pleaser. It's almost that you're not happy and you're angry. And you see, the thing is with people pleaser, they get angry. They get angry at you. For example, walikufanyia kitu na ukusema asante. Or for example, they are not getting the same treatment that you're giving them.
However, they will never confront you.
Yes, they cannot.
They don't want conflicts.
Yes, they don't want conflict. But what they do, though,
inside.
Yeah, but what they do though, they will still be angry and they will be passive aggressive. You know, so unaonanga wale watu sometimes unamwongelesha ako tu na attitude, moods, hajiski kuongelesha, is not behaving the same way. They are just this behavior. You see, they're angry.
Because they expected something.
Yes, they expected something. They're not able to say it. Now they're angry. They're angry in the inside. And now it's showing, but in a subtle way.
Make and just say it out. Mimi kwa mfano ukininunulia kitu kama ni, I know my friend Alex ameplan kunibaya gift ya 10,000. And then time yako ifike mimi nikubaya gift ya 100 bob. Don't get angry. Mimi nilifeel kukubaya kitu ya 100 bob. We only feel kunibaya 10,000. We did not sign a contract. I will buy something worth 10,000. That is okay. That is, for lack of a better word, something I'm getting from this conversation. Do something you feel contented to do.
Yes,
and
do it because you want to. Do it because... And I see a lot of these things, especially when in birthdays, utaenda, people will go, they will move mountains.
Hii story ya birthday ni muhimu sana. Unaweza ongea kidogo.
They will move mountains for people and that's not a bad thing. If I have money and I want to spoil my friend, it's her birthday, I do it. But then I'm not doing it with the expectation that when the July comes, I am expecting you to do this or more. You see, that's where the problem is. If you have money and you feel like your friend, I need to do this for my friend, then it's okay. Do it. Do it with no expectation, because maybe birthday yako ikikuja, your friend will not be able to do the things that maybe you wanted her to do or him to do. So do things because you want to.
Do things because you want to. I know.
Not because you want to please someone. Of course, if they are pleased in the midst of you doing it, well and good. But don't do it with the sole purpose of wanting to please them at your own expense. Zingine hauna pesa.
Yes.
Umeenda umekopa, you do all these things. It's not worth it. Don't do it. If this person is really your friend, they will even appreciate you just coming to see them, or just doing something simple, whether it's just keeping the company, simple cake or whatever. But don't go out of your way, especially in the economy of corona, to do stuff for people.
You move mountains.
Yeah, you move mountains.
Bring heaven to earth.
You move mountains for people in expectation ati pia mimi birthday yangu ikifika, I'm expecting them to do ABCD. No, it is not okay. And you see now the reason why people pleasers are angry, kwa sababu birthday ikifika, Derek na wewe mfanyie kitu ya so na alitumia 10,000 na alikuwa anafanya ndio birthday yako ikifika, even you behave, you act accordingly. Ndio birthday yako ikifika, even you act accordingly, they will be sad. But you see, again, they will be angry, but they won't tell you.
Which is really a bad thing. Watu wa birthday, I hope you guys are listening in. Do something out of your heart. If you have
watu wa birthday, unajua mimi niko hapo kwa watu.
No, by the me, I really appreciate my friends. I think this year I had one of the best, if not the most.
Ulikula keki sijui ngapi na au kuniitia hata moja. Wow.
There were surprises sasa huwezi itia mtu.
Si hata unaekea mtu.
Unapataka wenye wamekubaia hiyo keki wanakula karibu yote. So sometimes it is beyond you. So me, I think it is important, especially watu tunapatia na gifts. Ulinipatia gift ya 1,000, 20,000. Mimi at the time it was my turn,
15 ndo uliweza.
Niliweza 50 bob. Unajua, there's a friend of mine I know, anajua kenye it happened. I think she bought, alibaia chali yake gift ya worth 5,000. Siku ya birthday yake the guy alimbaia credit ya 50 bob. A serious story, a real story. And though she started complaining and doing all that stuff, way kama washa part ways. But I feel like let us do it out of heart. Venye tu umesema, kama niko comfortable na 10,000, nilitoa 10,000 because feel the pinch. Unaona?
No, unaweza feel the pinch, because you see at the end of the day the relationship is about sacrifice. And if I'm not, nikikupatia kitu na sisikie uchungu, is it something of value?
Okay, nasema sile uchungu mbaya. Unajua kuna ile uchungu yenye.
So sometimes nakwambia hapana, sometimes, not actually most of the time, that's how sacrifice looks like. You give something that hata mwenyewe ukipeana, like, it's just because I love them. And it's not because you're doing it because you love them. You know, you're sacrificing because you love this person, and it's not because you want them to do the same thing. We are not counting favors here. Sindio? Yes. We are not going to count favors. Kama mimi nilikufanyia, kama hata mimi birthday yako ni mimi nashindanga nikikununulia gift, well and good, kwa sababu at the end of the day relationships work differently.
Yeah.
Maybe time yote wewe unashindanga ukinunulia gifts with no, kama hakuna hata birthday. You see, relationships work differently. Kuna mtu mwingine maybe birthdays are not important, but akienda mahali, especially as women, nikienda mahali nione manzi kitu inaka beshte yangu XYZ, nitainunua with no birthday, no nothing.
May I get those friends
you understand?
Who walk in supermarkets and see something and they say Derek looks nice in those shoes. I pray.
So you see, so relationships work differently, and you just because birthday, we can't limit it to unajua your box. So it's up to you to understand, is this relationship serving me the way I expect to be served in a friendship, romantic relationship, or whatever it is. But at all costs, all the time, never do something just because you want to please someone or you want to be validated, kwa sababu it is almost never achieved, and kama it achieved, it's very short-lived.
It is very short-lived. Interesting. Maybe now we can discuss how now do I start the journey to stop or to reduce my people-pleasing nature.
You start by, I had mentioned it, but you start by asking yourself where it comes from. And after where it comes from, we've already established it's coming from a point of void. Self-esteem issues, insecurities. So that's what you need to work on. You need to work on your self-esteem. Why is your self-esteem low? Why do you not love yourself? Why don't you regard yourself as highly as you should, for example? So when you start to solve those inner issues, it becomes easier for you to choose yourself, to choose things that are good for you, to say no to things that are not good for you, because you're starting to love and respect yourself. So me, I'd say as long as you work on self-love, and achana na self-love, yes, makeup, self-care, we are talking about internal, not external. We're talking about the internal self-love, of just really accepting who you are, accepting your experiences, and working on what you think needs to be worked on in yourself, because it's not easy to do, to confront your mind and confront your thinking patterns and all those things. But once you start to accept and affirm yourself, because if you are not affirmed, definitely you will need to affirm yourself. You need to affirm yourself and tell yourself you're worthy, and start to do things that look like that. So once you start to work on yourself, it will be easy for now to deal with the outside. That's why you can't just wake up and say no. But once you start to actually internalize the fact that you're worthy, you're worthy, you bring something to the table and things like that, it's easy for you now to say no. For example, it's easy for you to start creating boundaries and enforcing them with everyone that you interact with. So I'd say it start with a point of view, just asking yourself, where is this people pleasing coming from? What is the effect of it in my life? And what would I like to see? Because there are many people who know they are people pleaser, but they're not willing to go the extra mile to change their situation. So if you want to change your situation, then you'd have to start asking yourself that question. And sometimes it's easy. It's not easy to do it by yourself. So maybe
in almost all occasions, it's never easy.
It's never easy to do it by yourself. So you might need to have access to someone, maybe a therapist or just a friend who understands and is able to walk with you this journey and is able to help you to hold you accountable in this, so that you can become better as the day goes by.
Yeah.
Wow. Maybe you have something to add?
I think you've highlighted most. It's more of a journey. All I can say is it is not easy. I know most people are familiar with being comfortable. We start
and
Derek, the process.
Maybe you can, sorry to interrupt, maybe you can tell us, now that you've mentioned you were a people pleaser at some point and it's a journey. How has been the journey for you? First
of all, I think you mentioned something with self-love. I talk about it quite often. I have for a few months reduced my interaction with people deliberately. It is not out of bad intent, but because I want, first of all, to understand who I am and what are some of the root causes of the things I've been doing. And it had a lot of my childhood, origin in it. So one, I reduced my interaction with people. Number two, I have done tremendously well in cutting my social media life. It's so key. There's a way that it's liberating to be in a position where you don't need to keep on following up on people's lives, to just start following up on your life. There's a way it brings you back to focus, which is really something of a great help. Reading, learning, and watching positive talks. I know something with people pleasers is sometimes they wake up in the morning and they, curse themselves. Why they wake up, I think other people are doing way better than me. We have all said people pleasing has a lot to do with self-esteem that you have, the insecurities you have inside. So start by having motivational talks. Either you're listening to good speakers who are motivating you to believe more in yourself, or, this small validation you have of yourself. Every morning, write something positive about yourself, like, I am going to do it. I can stand on my own. They might look like it's a long process, but it's powerful. Somebody talked about meditation. I think those things are very powerful. Having time for your own self, not listening to music, bringing your mind to focus and trying to think and to reflect on everything. It's so key. And for me, I try to do these things quite often, more and more and more. And I've been positive, and I'm getting more positive each and every day. And I am getting to a point where I feel like I can comfortably tell you no, like right now, without having any fear that I am worried more about you than I am worried about me. And there's something maybe to add. I read somewhere, a people pleaser is somebody who feels the obligation to their sense of sense of duty is more greater than their self-respect. So your sense of obligation for others is greater than your self-respect. That is when you end up doing things for others. But when your self-respect is greater than the obligation for others, you'll always do the right things. And I think we need to be clear, we are not advocating for people to be islands. We are only saying you can only give after you have something. It is like you are giving somebody a cloth and you are naked. That is what people pleasers do. they're walking naked and they're offering people clothes along the road. And that is crazy. That is total madness that we don't want to advocate. You're advocating for you to give a cloth when you have an extra pair. And that is the right thing for us to do.
Yeah, and I also just want to mention something that really works for me. When especially I want to declutter, I do a lot of journaling. And if you are somebody who's a people pleaser, maybe you want to work on your self-love, maybe you can just start by journaling what you like about yourself, because it's not all doom. There are things that are great about you. You need to start recognizing that. And keeping a journal can really help you get in that healthy headspace to be able to deal with some of these things. So that journal can be a place where you just affirm yourself. You start your journey on self-love on that. And I think I like what you have said. We are advocating for people to lend a cloth if you have an extra pair, not give when you are yourself you don't have. So I think that's it. And unless Derek, you have something to add?
I don't have anything to add. I think that was it for today on people pleasing. I hope you guys were able to learn a thing or two. As we always say, you can always reach out to us. Lillian, you can share the contact in case somebody wants to be part of this conversation. I think from the next episodes, it is all going to be Lillian and Derek speaking. We want to have other guests. We want to hear stories of people, how they are dealing with their mental distress and how they have overcome a few things in life. So Lillian, you can maybe share the contacts to our amazing listeners.
If you want to reach us, you can contact us on 0792 015 089. That's where you can find us in case you have any questions or you need any kind of help that you think we can offer to you. That's where you get us. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I hope that going forward we can learn, all of us, even as we are learning, we can learn to all respect ourselves, even as we navigate this thing called life. Thank you.
Thank you, and have a lovely time. Goodbye.
This production is done by Aqute Media.